Hello friends, welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to talk about EV market share. We meaning Loki and me, if Loki has anything he wants to say about it. Going to talk about EV market share. What is it, and is it important if it changes for a company that you're invested in? If you're invested in an EV company and your EV market share declines, how big a deal is that? Are you concerned? So what I've prepared for you is a spreadsheet that illustrates conceptually the important difference between EV market share and total market share, or the market share of comparable vehicles, vehicles that buyers might consider as alternatives. And then at the end, I'll contrast that against revenue share and earnings share. So let's get right to that. I'm going to share my desktop and bring up a little spreadsheet I prepared just for this market share examples video. So that's today. And we'll start by just hopping in our time machine and going back to 2020, a year in which Tesla delivered 499,647 vehicles, all of which were luxury EVs. Okay, I'm just trying to ground you very quickly on what this spreadsheet is showing you. So, there is not a lot of precision on the estimates for everyone else combined for what's in this column. I've done my best to put the correct numbers in for Tesla, but for everyone else combined, I have made up hypothetical numbers that may or may not be close to what actually happened, but that's not the point. The point isn't deadly accuracy here. The point is just to get you comfortable with understanding the differences between EV market share and other, perhaps more meaningful metrics. Okay, so if you take Tesla and you add everyone else combined, that gives you the total market. So on this line, I've labeled this luxury combustion vehicles. So most of what BMW, Lexus, and Audi sell, as an example. Let's say they sold 5.1 million units globally in 2020 that were combustion vehicles. And Tesla didn't sell any combustion vehicles, they never have. Then that would be the total for the market. This would be the total for luxury EVs, with Tesla making up more than half of the luxury EV market back in 2020. And then if you add these together, you get the total luxury vehicles, either combustion or EV. Okay, so let's say that those were the numbers and then keep moving for the purposes of this exercise today. Then, on the next line, I have micro EVs. So for example, the SAIC Wuling Mini, part of a joint venture with GM, where GM gets to take partial credit sometimes for these micro car deliveries. This tiny little golf cart of an electric vehicle with a 70-mile range and a 60-mile-per-hour top speed and a $4,200 starting price and no airbags. This is a micro EV that I'm talking about here. Let's say there were 250,000 micro EV sales globally in 2020. Then for all other non-luxury EVs, we're talking about stuff like Nissan Leafs and Mustang Mach-E's, etc., Chevy Bolts. You're looking at 1.2 million of those total worldwide. And then that leaves you with everything else, which is non-luxury combustion vehicles. So this is almost everything produced by Honda, Toyota, Mazda, Ram, all those brands, and many, many more made up, let's call it 49.15 million vehicles worth of sales for a total global unit market of, 56.5 million vehicles back in 2020, of which 500,000 were Teslas. Okay, so that's where we are so far. If you want, you can subtotal these by EVs versus non-EVs. So that's what I've done here. Should I go across or should I go down? I'll go across. So the next year was 2021. What happened? Well, Tesla sold a lot more vehicles, and the rest of the industry also sold more vehicles between 2020 and 2021 because this year people were scared to go out and buy cars, so they put off buying another vehicle until 2021 in many cases, which caused these numbers to be lower than usual and these numbers to be higher than usual. That's just what I'm showing here. So total luxury sales were higher in 2021 than they were in 2020. And micro EV sales ramped up quite a lot. All other non-luxury EVs didn't really move up very much. I'm just saying for purposes of example in this video. And then total global units went up by a little bit to 59 million. Okay, so here's how many of those were EVs, here's how many were combustion, and next we'll bring in 2022. So that's our projections for what's going to happen in the full year this year. So combustion luxury vehicle sales come down by some. Luxury EVs that are Tesla and non-Tesla continue to ramp up. So these total luxury EV sales continue to climb. Micro EVs really come on strong in 2022 with a lot more sales here. All other non-luxury EVs do better. Even the non-luxury combustion vehicles do a little better. And we have stronger sales overall in 2022. With this many of them being EVs and this many of them being combustion. So a little growth for combustion, a lot of growth for EVs. Okay. So this is a lot of build-up for something. Let's get to it. I'm going to hide these rows were under Tesla market share. And let's just look at what Tesla's market share was among the luxury vehicles. So if you take all of the Tesla sales and you divide those by all of the luxury vehicles sold in 2020, let's say it was 8.5% market share back in 2020. That same number, if you believe these assumptions, would grow to 10.8%, and then this year to 16.8%. So Tesla's doing pretty well with a percent of the luxury vehicle market. Okay, let's compare this to total global units. Let's just divide into everything, right? So just under 1% of the market back in 2020, 1.6% of the market in 2021, 2.1% of the total market in 2022. Looks pretty good here for Tesla with this growth being borne out in the market share percentages as you would expect, Tesla continuing to sell a lot more vehicles every year. Now let's go to the EVs including microcars line. Okay, 22% here in 2020, 28% here in 2021, and then 20% here in 2022. Now that's lower. So this is the line Taylor Ogan wants you to think about, and no other lines. This, in his opinion, is the most important line. Tesla market share of EVs, including microcars. This is the most important thing. So focus all of your attention here on this decline, particularly from here to here, right? Tesla is selling less less vehicles as a percent of the global EV market. And that's a huge concern if you're somebody who's a Tesla hater, if you're somebody who's a lot more interested in other cars made by other companies and not by Tesla, or if you're a Tesla short seller, or if you just hate Tesla, right? This is the metric that you want to focus on. The Tesla market share of EVs, including microcars. Okay, what's the next line here? Tesla market share of EVs, excluding microcars. What's this doing? It's just throwing out the line that has all the Wuling Minis in it and the other vehicles that are small. So 25% of the market back in 2020, 35% of the market here in 2021 than 34% of the market in 2022. So this line is kind of telling a different story. Now, why would I exclude microcars? It's because anybody in China can buy 11 Wuling Minis for the same money they would pay for one Tesla Model Y. These are not comparable vehicles. These are not vehicles being shopped against each other, right? People who are buying Wuling Minis were never going to buy a Tesla in the first place. It's not comparable. It would be like if you tried showing Apple's share of the smartphone market, but you included in the smartphone market the home phone market for phones that you plug into the phone jack at home, right? Or if you included pagers for some reason, right? People who want an iPhone and are going to buy an iPhone are not trying to decide between that and a pager or a home phone, a cordless home phone, right? That's not the same kind of thing, right? And the same logic applies here. Hey, let's subtract from the total EV sales these micro EV sales of very low priced, very low range, very low top speed, very low safety vehicles that are not comparable to a Tesla in any way. Okay, and I'm not done. I have more rows here. So let's unhide the ones that are below revenue here. Take a look at this. Here's the revenue per vehicle for Tesla versus what the rest of the market is getting combined. So let's say that Tesla was making $55,259 per vehicle in 2020, and that everybody else was averaging $35,000 of revenue per vehicle, making a total market of, $35,179, weighted far more strongly towards the $35,000 because 56 million of the vehicles were everyone else combined, and only 500,000 of the vehicles were Tesla. So that would give Tesla automotive revenue of $28 billion versus everybody else at almost $2 billion. So Tesla's share of the revenue in 2020 would have been 1.4%. Let's say that the following year, 2021, Tesla's revenue per delivery got worse by $5,000. Everybody else's revenue per delivery got better by $2,000, resulting in these numbers. How did Tesla's revenue share increase to 2.1%? In our example numbers here, it's because the deliveries almost doubled from 500,000 to 936,000. So that's what's resulting in a revenue share increase for Tesla, despite revenue per vehicle dropping some against the rest of the market increasing by a pretty good chunk there as car prices kind of went up in 2021. And then in 2022, my forecast for the full year is that Tesla's automotive revenue per delivery will increase to $57,827. Let's say the market stabilizes up a little bit higher, $37,500. Tesla would have a 3.2% share of the revenue dollars in the market. What's this say? It says, of all the money being spent on new vehicles, Tesla is collecting 3.2% of it. Last year, that number was 2.1%. The year before, it was 1.4%. Is this number more meaningful than this number? Yes, in my judgment, the shading belongs here. And this deserves to be, trivia is what this deserves to be, right? What is Tesla's share of the EV market? Inconsequential is what it is if Tesla's share of revenue is this. And then you've probably already noticed I have earnings next. So let's check out earnings next. So Tesla's earnings per delivery in 2020, non-GAAP earnings per delivery, were $4,644, making $2 billion worth of earnings from automotive sales. Everyone else combined, let's say they were making $2,700 per vehicle in 2020. Tesla would have had a 1.5% share of the total earnings being made. If every company in the auto industry combined made $154 billion worth of non-GAAP earnings, then Tesla's $2 billion was 1.5% of that. Okay, next year, Tesla's profit, earnings per delivery, rose to $7,928 per vehicle, and the rest of the industry's earnings per delivery rose, let's say, to $3,500. That's a nice round number. Why not? Just plug that in here as an assumption. If you believe those, then Tesla's share of earnings in 2021 were 3.5%. All right, 2022, what do we expect for Tesla earnings per delivery? I expect $13,010 of earnings per delivery this year. Let's say the market rises another $500 to $4,000 of earnings per delivery this year. Tesla would have a 6.5% share of the total industry's earnings. Are you worried anymore about Tesla losing EV market share? Does this drop still matter to you? If you believe all the assumptions on this page, and I'm not saying you should, but if the real numbers are not crazy far off what I've plugged in here, does this concern you as an investor? No. As an investor, what you ought to care about is earnings. Earnings growth is what matters. Are Tesla's earnings growing? Yeah, from $2 billion to $7 billion to $18 billion, right? This is what matters to you. What's the rest of the industry doing? Okay, maybe they're growing from 150 to 200 to 250. Tesla's earnings growth is greater. It's growing by more, right? Tesla's taking a larger and larger share of the total automotive industry's earnings. And I am not promising that any number on this page is correct. What I'm trying to illustrate for you are the concepts in play and why EV market share should not matter to you. That's my video. With that, I will say, if you've enjoyed today's video, click the like button. If you're not subscribed to my channel already, you could go ahead and subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell if you want to get updates when I post fresh content. If you like what I do and you like the cut on my jib and appreciate the content that I put out for free and want to show your appreciation, you could do that through Patreon or by joining my YouTube channel, which has some cool benefits you could check out. And I will see you in the next one.